All right. Hi, everybody, and welcome to our first recording, a live session between my husband and myself. This is going to be quite the little endeavor since I don't know how to use any of this software. So, welcome to our world. And I'm with my hubs here. Will. Hey, Will, how you doing?
Good. Is that
Well,
loud now?
it is loud. But there's a little glitchiness, but that's okay. We'll work things out. So our session today is just going to be a little bit about us and our background and how we got to where we are now, which is in a brand new site starting from scratch, and especially at our ages. So our ages are just old. That's all you have to know. And by old, I just mean that we are in that retirement zone. I'm not quite retired, and Bill is retired. So we are older folks. We don't tend to try to give out a lot of personal information on ourselves. And you know why? So I won't carry on with that. But at any um, will have been together for about 32 years, I believe. And we started out with 6 kids and a blended family and progressed on through various moves and into different stations. And now we find ourselves in yet another location. Our last several moves that we we did, we actually ended up buying a very large piece of property that we tried to develop, and then we also had a smaller piece of property that was more of along the lines of a tiny farm or micro farm. And now we are here, and we're doing it all over again, starting from scratch. So, um, Bill, I
Yes.
call you Will. I call you Bill. Would you like to introduce yourself or say a few words?
Yeah. We're live, aren't we? Sorry. No. Can you just take it off for a minute? Like take me off?
Or just
You
one
can't.
more, please. All right. So, as you can see, we are having a little bit of technical difficulties trying to work out our, well, like I said, we've never done this before, so that's okay. Um, Everybody does something for the first time. And so this is like our first time using this software. This is a stream something or another. It's got a picture of a goose on it. Stream. Oh, sorry, StreamYard. Yeah, so we're using StreamYard, and StreamYard is actually quite an easy software to use, and I'm enjoying figuring out how to use it. But right now, we're just I said, just everything is new. We're a little on the older side, so bear with us as we work out the bugs and try to get things rolling. And I think I've got my partner back here, so we will pull that screen up and I'll put the mic back on. There.
I'm back.
All right. Awesome.
I'm not sure what you want me to add to our story. We are starting over again. Do you want I really don't want me to start with this? You kind of give the backstory. So who am I? I'm I'm part of this group that goes around and moves and recreates. I don't know.
All right. Well, I think what we'll do, there's a presentation software on here, so I'm going to try to see how that works. We do have a slideshow. Oh, look at that. It started with the last slide first. So let me start. Okay. Well, I'll just go ahead. This is kind of neat. You can see that too, right?
You're talking to me?
Yes.
I can see you and I kissing, and I can see green fields.
Okay. Well, those green fields are the property that we had.
I
Um,
recognize them.
All right. Awesome. So About 17 years ago, we moved and we purchased this property, and um, it it had about, I don't know, 80 arable acres.
Yeah, that was foul.
Yeah.
It was just there's no crop. They just plowed it under.
Yeah, it was pretty rem- I would say it was a lot of wilderness there, let's put it that way. And it was unkept, overgrown, and not being used. And so Bill and I spent the first few years trying to make this into something that we could do farming on, and then eventually move there for our retirement.
We started out in a hardtop tent trailer. We cleared a spot and we came across the field, pulled the trailer across the field, and there. And then we marked out there was about 20 acres of woods, and we marked out a driveway, set that up, and I think we camped there for a season or 2 seasons because we built an addition on the front for a screened in porch because we overlooked a approximately 7 acre pond. I don't know. Spam. Anyway, so yeah, so we cleared that after, and we were still in the screened in porch when we built the garage package. So
Hmm.
we hired the arches. They came in with machines and they built us a road. And so then we could drive in because we the field that we came across, the people that own it or planted it, even though it was in the spring, early spring, and they hadn't planted anything, they didn't appreciate us driving our truck across their field. So anyway, so we had a road to drive in and out, and we had a concrete slab built. We um, bought a garage package and we put it together. And because we're going to build a house, we drilled a well. We brought in 200 amp service online and converted the garage package into like a cabin. I'll leave it to Jackie now.
Yes, we did. We actually plotted out the driveway very artistically. Instead of just having it go straight up through the property, we made it a nice little twisting and winding road, and didn't lose a lot of mature trees. But you can see here, this is early spring, I believe. And this is when we were at the property just last year, thinking, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to, put a foundation in. We're going to move this building, and we're going to, move it onto the foundation. And um, that was a great plan, but it didn't.
After pricing it out,
Yeah.
it didn't make sense because the building is only 30 by 30. So we decided we needed it larger. So we were going to put a complete basement underneath it, build the basement out another 20. So the building would be 30 by 50. Hire a company to come in either with a crane or to jack it up and roll it onto the up where the subfloor is, and just it's just walls. Right now, it's just walls anchored to a concrete slab. So you can undo the nuts from the bolts, the entire building off the slab, and move it. It was going to be to the right, 8 to 10 feet, and then set it on top of the subfloor, and then build the addition on. We start pricing it out, and a little higher, that's a little over our budget.
Yes, and the other thing is like I started thinking, do we really want to work on this until we die and still not have a completed building? And so it was kind of a downer. The location also was really not conducive for lots of family visits. Our closest family were like 8.5 hours away, and it just didn't seem to make a lot of sense. So we started looking at selling this property, really regretting it. You know, we'd spent a lot of time in that property. Here, I'll just go back here for a second. We'd spent a lot of time there, and it was our hope, it was our dream to actually make this into our retirement home, our little farm, and to actually manage something this large, it takes a lot of money. And though we had some money, we didn't have enough money. So we regrouped back in our other location is just 20 minutes away. Um, it's actually also it's quite beautiful. It's just a little home on a fairly large lot of land that backed onto a farmer's field. And it's quite beautiful. Bill and I. And Bill's got the green thumb actually. And so we have a large section of that property that is garden, and Bill really does a good job at growing all kinds of things. We've had many different types of plants in over the years that we've been there. And so this became our focal point. Even though we did have a very big garden at one point in time on our acreage, we pulled it back to this other location that we have here, and that's where we had a garden in last year. And then all of a sudden, once we had completely sold out of our property, we started looking around at properties that were closer to children, and ended up buying another property, which is much. It seems the location is better. I think that's it. The yard at this property here is much bigger. Has more area to be able to do some farming on, or to do some gardening on, I guess. But we're going to have to develop that here. So as you can see, this hothouse was put in place during the pandemic. Bill, do you want to explain how you put it
Well,
together?
yep. This was built in our garage. We live in the north, so many days are below -30. So there's no, and our growing season is very short. So I had the idea of building something in our garage because we leave our cars outside. It's not a large garage; it's like a garage and a half. Ceilings are only like 7 feet tall, or a little over. I had overhead door coming into it. So all I did was throw some 2x4s together on a frame, and it was I think it was 8 by 5.5. I had a doorway that ran right straight through the middle. Each side would have shelving, a lower shelf, and a top shelf on each side. And I put in a ventilation system with a fan on a timer, and we threw some grow lights in. A lot more that happened before that. And if Jackie wants to get into that later, we can. There's I'm just doing the thing. So I was in construction, and one thing that we used, because out here in the cold, is we do construction, but we have to go year round. So we make hoarding, and a lot of people use orange insulated tarping and propane heat to cure concrete or work out of the elements. So we used to buy it was silage bags. Oh, it's 100 feet, 60 feet wide, and as long as you want. So I had a roll of it left over. It's white on one side and black on the other side. So I just, inside the garage, I made a separate unit. The white was on the inside to reflect the light that came from the garage. The black was on the side. Like I said, there was a ventilation component to it. Several grow lights. Some were on timers, some weren't. And it was completely shut off from the garage. The garage was heated, but it was never heated to like it wasn't 70 or anything in there. Plus, we had a walkway that went to our overhead garage. Built a lean on that just out of 2x4s and proper greenhouse poly. We had a growing bed in there. It didn't run all winter, but we could extend the season by overhead garage and leaving it open, and some of the heat from the small furnace we had in there would go out. So we could extend the growing season, but not totally all winter long. Inside the greenhouse, that was our starter plants. We did have not a ton, but we had many lemon trees that, well, they're not with us anymore. But anyways, we did bring stuff in from the garden in the fall in planters, and if they were, and finish them off. So we had tomatoes. We had lettuce and things that went year round. So it wasn't huge, but it was. You could lay it out and you could extend it and get a proper growing thing in there. But I guess that was it.
Right. Yeah, so that did help. Well, we had plants full on. Even I think they were even blooming and producing fruit in April that year. We had tomatoes out the front and seedlings back here, and yeah, we yeah. There's a slide there that shows the tomato plants that were in the front area of this greenhouse unit that's in the front of the garage. Again, this was not expensive. Like everything between the greenhouse addition onto the front of the garage and the hothouse is less than 1,000 Canadian, and and some handiwork. So it's certainly something that can be done. It helps you to grow your own thing, your own some of your own vegetables at home. Maybe not everything, of course, but definitely things that you use often, like lettuce, tomatoes, celery, a little bit harder. Um, what else did we have back there? Green onions for sure.
But
Peas.
we would start pepper plants in the spring, take them out, put them in the main garden, and then in the fall we could dig them up and put them in a bag. We had 5 and 10 pound felt bags, growing bags, transplant them in there, and they would finish their harvest, and then they would start, and we could keep them over the winter. We can sometimes you can let them flower and produce, but it takes a while. The best thing is just to bring them out of the winter, and then in the spring, you don't have to start from seed or small plants. You have the mature plants that have been living there kind of dormant all winter, and then you can take them back out and replant them in the garden, and your harvest that spring and summer would be quicker and a lot more plentiful.
Right.
So,
Go ahead.
but you did that with tomatoes. You brought some tomatoes
Mhm.
in, cherry tomatoes, and you had cherry tomatoes throughout the winter.
Yes, and that's something that this is what I would like to be able to recreate here. We've got a south-facing backyard. This could go on to the back of the garage, perhaps, something like that. Um, Again, knowing that we can do this type of growing is really important, and set especially right now, like I had mentioned in another video, we're living in some very unique times. So I think getting set up for if something worse happens is a great idea, and it doesn't mean that you actually have to um, uh, go into it full on. But it does mean that you want to have been able to establish establish a good soil base and get things ready to go. I'm all for supporting local farmers, and we do live in an agricultural area, and so at this point in time, leaving the heavy lifting to them, and doing some smaller gardening in our location is fine, but I really don't. Uh, I'm just trying to figure out, is it worth a lot of time and effort at this point in time to do as much as we did in our former location, or do we just set it up so that we can do it? So that's a conversation that I'd like to have further on down the line. Like I said, I think it's really important to be able to, at the drop of a hat, say, okay, we're ready to go. So that might be that you have some plants and the ability to throw others into a greenhouse or a hothouse just to get things going. I just want to see if we have one more slide here. Oh, that's more interior. The first year that we had this running, we actually had peas growing along the bases. There's a little, can't really see it too well, but there is a little area here that was about 7 inches deep. Oops. Oh, that might have captured a little bit of it.
Yeah.
You can just see it right there. It was about 7 inches deep. So peas in there. And they did sprout. It didn't produce very much. So a lot of this is trial and error on our part. And we're certainly welcoming other people to, be able to provide, their feedback and their experiences as far as what are you doing. We are not professional at this. And I know you guys know that just from this video and the previous other videos. But I think it's important. And that was one of the things that I wanted to do this year. And I'm getting an early start on it. I have some time off work. And we are wanting to build a community that is able to, help each other, provide each other with information. What grows in your grow zone, and how are you, preparing your garden. I think gardens should be a necessity right now for folks. Like I said, if not a full-on garden, then at least something that you can turn it on a dime. But then there are, people who live in apartments, like what can happen there? Like, and there's all kinds of ways that you can grow in small spaces, vertical gardening or hydroponics and things like that. So we'd like to take a look at those types of growing, growing as well. I don't really want to also focus just mainly on vegetables. Like there are other things that you can be doing. Anybody can be a tiny farm. And what that just means is like, what are you doing to help yourself? What are you doing to be sustainable? What are you making instead of buying? What are you able to trade off, in exchange for something else with your local community? I think that's going to be really important in these coming times. So, yeah, grow with us. You can like and follow. I see this that. Oh, I think you're liking following Bill, but there, like and follow wherever it is down there. And yeah, like I said, this is our adventure and welcome to it. So I think we're going to sign off for now.
Okay.
And we'll talk to you soon.
See you later. Bye for now.
Bye for now.